Our last story for the evening. 4 volunteers prepare for the perfect outdoor adventure. All they needed to do was heed the locals' warnings. Let's welcome Craig Berger for the Hippos in and around the Mono River.
All right, thank you. I served in Togo, West Africa. That is in Africa. And it's one of those north-south countries. Along its eastern edge is the Mono River. And me and 3 buddies decided we were going to mark our halfway point of our service by having an outdoor adventure. We were going to canoe for 3 days and 2 nights down the Mono River. And anytime we told any of the locals, we kind of got the same kind of sideways look of, you know, people don't go in the Mono River. There are hippos there, and you know we had heard about the reputation of hippos, like they're the animal that kills most people in all the continent, and something like 3,000 Africans are killed every year just by hippos, and we kind of knew that, but we were like, you know, we're not Africans, so we'll deal with it. And we had we had a local carpenter build us a canoe of our own, and we did all of our planning. And the day came to set sail, and we had our canoe put up on a bush taxi, and all of our provisions in the taxi. And we went up to the head of the Mono River, and we were all ready to go. And we probably should have known that it wasn't going to be as smooth as we wanted when we put the canoe in the water and it started to halfway sink because the wood boards didn't have enough time to soak, and the creases in between them were leaking. So that was going to be my first job in the canoe. I was going to be the bailer as we went on, and we set off, and the first part of our trip was actually fantastic. We saw monkeys in the trees, and tropical fish, and herons were flying by. Jim had his fishing rod cast, and Russ was taking pictures, and Paul was up front. He was paddling and steering our craft. When we heard that first sound, and it sounded something like this. And we spied down river, and it was the first of the hippos, and all we could see were its eyes and its ears kind of popping up, spying at us, and then going underwater. And that was the scariest part, right? Because it would go underwater, we had no idea where it would come up. Would it come up under us, or would it come and just attack us? We didn't know. But then we saw a second one, and a third one, and a fourth one, and soon we realized that an entire pod of hippos is downstream, and we're paddling our way right towards them. And that's our first, sign of danger, that there is something seriously wrong. We decided to paddle to beach the canoe and go up on shore, because we figure if they're gonna chase after us, well, we're on land, we can run away from them. And so we beach our canoe, and just maybe 20 feet away on a bluff right above us is this gigantic, enormous hippo. It was like the size, somewhere halfway between a VW van and a school bus. And it was right there. So in the water, circling towards us, is this pod of hippos. Above us is this bussopotamus that could just jump down and squash all of us. We have to make our first decision quickly. We decided to jump in the canoe and take our chances in the water, and we did that. And we started to weave our way around the hippos, and indeed, once they got the sense that that we wanted to leave, they kind of left us alone and they let us be, and we felt that we were in the clear. At that point, when the Mono River started to pick up its pace, and there started to be some whitewater, and we started to lose control of our vessel, our homemade vessel, right, out of these wood boards, and we start to turn around, and we hit something, and boom, we capsize. We're all in the water. All of our provisions are going downstream. So our camping gear, water, food, camera, fishing gear, everything is just going downstream. We almost lost the canoe itself, but we held on to it, and we kind of swam it to an embankment and reverted it right side up. And Paul, he held the canoe steady while the three of us jumped in. And when we jumped in, we kind of it was leaned up against a tree that was overhanging the river. And as soon as I got in, I felt this bug, big black bug, kind of bite me. And it wasn't just like a bite. It was like it was tearing at my skin. And then another one, and then another one on my face. And Paul, who's in the water, can see this whole thing, says, "Those are bees, killer bees. Get in the water, follow me." Those are, the tree was home to a hive of African killer bees. Yeah, these are not like the Africanized killer bees that come up from South America. These are the African bees in their home territory, and they're coming to kill us. We all just jump in the water and try to swim away. So now we're swimming with the flow of the water with this hive after us. And I've got bees all on my body, and I go underwater because bees don't like to swim. And so when you're underwater, you can kind of pick them off. And then when you come up for air, you get another 15 or 20, all on my face and body, and it's incredibly painful. And this cycle happened maybe 3 or 4 times, to the point where I distinctly remember they kind of stopped hurting, and I became numb, and I started to fade a little bit, and I kind of lost my body, and I felt myself like I was dying there in the water. And the first thing I thought was, damn, it's not going to be the hippos that kill us, it's the bees that kill us. And then I thought of my mother, and her hysterical reaction when she finds out that her son was killed here in this Mono River. But I kept going, and just like the hippos left us alone, at some point the bees started to dissipate. And I remember turning a bend in the river and being pulled up on a rock by Paul. And we realized that we had survived, and we were alive. We had multiple bee stings, but we were alive. And Russ and Jim followed suit, and we all embraced, and we felt like, okay, our trip is over. Now all we have to do is get to civilization. And we're out here in the middle of the bush, so we have to cross the river, and then we just head through the bush. And we walked about for 2 hours, and we finally came across a family that was harvesting their cotton field. And I can only imagine what they were thinking when they see 4 white guys without any shoes on, all wet and swollen faces, come upon their field. But they embraced us. They took us in for the night, and we told them the story, what had happened. And the patriarch of the family kind of turned to me, and he shook his finger, and he goes, "You boys, you're lucky. Those bees saved you from the hippos." Thank you very much.